Brady Foulk, thank you so much for coming on the Inner Edison podcast. I really appreciate it.
I'm so glad to be here, man. I want
Yeah.
your audience to know before we begin, if they're here to help their dog get a little bit better at listening and understanding commands, you're in the right place. But if you don't have a dog, we're also going to talk a lot about leadership. So you also are in the right place. So thank you
Well,
for having me on.
you're not the host. We don't know if we're going there. I don't know where I'm going yet. I'll let you know as we get going. I'm a different host. I do not have a strict questions or what anything. I want to take the conversation, find out where I want to go at that moment, and I watch your face to see where to
Okay.
go. But one of the things, so on the Inner Edison podcast, it's all about your greatest accomplishments come from your greatest defeats. You have a
Yeah.
business of dog training, right? How did you
Yeah.
get into this realm of starting a business in this world? I don't mean the world
Yeah.
of the world. I mean in the dog realm. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the dog realm, I got my first puppy when I was 22 years old, and I was working my first 9 to 5 job at an insurance company. And everyone told me, don't get a dog, don't get a dog. It's gonna like ruin your life. And I was like, nah, I grew up with dogs. I'm the oldest of six. I was like, I can handle this. It's gonna be fine. But sure enough, I got this puppy. He was a handful. I started missing company events and like after party things and like raising this puppy as best as I could. And I was doing my best just to give him like a lot of love and the best treats and the best food and watching YouTube videos. But one day I came home and this smell hit me and he like had pooped everywhere. He tore up a huge chunk of my carpet. He got my dad's Father's Day present and he ripped up my Tim Ferriss Tools of Titans book, like my brand new book, not any of the old books that I had laying around. And I was like, okay, this is my rock bottom. This is when I was like, there goes my deposit. Like, this is 6 months in. He's not getting any better. He still doesn't know how to tell me he has to go to the bathroom. He still can't be in his crate. So I found a mentor. I found Susan Garrett. She is a 30-time world agility champion up in Canada, and she's absolutely amazing. And so I've given her, invested in her thousands of dollars to understand how to communicate with my dog better, to teach him to ring potty bells, to tell me he has to go to the bathroom or love his crate, and finding it as a place to be safe and secure, and also a place where we play a lot of games out of walking better on leash and overcoming a lot of different challenges. So as I got better at that, 2019 came around, and it was the day after my birthday, and I just got back from the weekend, and the boss called me in the office, and they didn't even know my birthday was the last weekend, but they called me in, and they're like, "Hey, times are a little bit tough right now. You were the last one in, so you're going to be the first one out. So we're laying you off." And I was like, well, shoot, this is a nice birthday present. Thanks. But it did give me the opportunity to begin dog training. So at that point, I was already helping some friends and family. So I just started to charge money for it. I was charging like $25 for an hour to teach different tips and tricks or to help people with walking or all sorts of different problems at first. Uh, and COVID hit, and I had to transition to Zoom lessons, which was really interesting. Um, and since then, I've just continued to grow my business as everything's opened back up. I moved from San Diego to Austin now, and I've been at it for over 6 years.
San Diego to Austin, there's a big difference. I was in San Diego for almost 20 years
How are
and
you?
I moved to Northern California. So it's a huge change different. Yeah.
Yeah.
San Diego climate. I don't know where you were in San Diego because that's a big place. People say San Diego and it could be many places down there. I was on the North County coast. So my average temperature was 70 degrees. When I moved to Modesto, California, my average temperature now during the
Yeah.
summer is 110. A little different.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Austin out here it gets up to 110 sometimes too. So it's been an adjustment. And then winters are really cold too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was down on the beach in OB and all sorts of places in San Diego.
Okay.
I miss it.
It's just a nice place. Yeah, but the problem down there is you got to work so much just to survive. And
Yeah.
not that Austin's any cheaper.
Well, and we're up a little bit more north. We're like 35 minutes north of downtown, so it's a little
Okay.
bit better up here. But you can actually build out here. Like in California, you're surviving, like you said. Out here, you can build some momentum and you can stack up some money.
Gotcha.
So there's hope.
There's hope.
Yeah.
And before we got going, I was trying to explain to you my American Bully. I found him on a trail that I do walking on. and it was over 2 years ago on a March. No, it was February. It was like 8:30 at night. He was tied up since some exercise equipment, and some people were there asking if this was someone's dog or whatever. And on my way back to the walk, he was still there, so I brought him home. And in 3 days, he came out of his shell. Right, it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We weren't going to talk to the pound till Monday, or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call them. And I cleaned him up and everything. The first night, he slept on his bed and didn't leave. There, I put him, and then so he had to have some training, and somehow became homeless with a homeless person. Maybe he was stolen. I don't know. And people think he might have been a bait dog because he has a mark on his head. But he is the nicest dog I've ever had in my life. And I've had a lot of dogs.
Wow.
And
How old is he now?
Well, we think he's probably almost 4.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was weird because when I first got him, he could walk and walk and walk. And then now he's like, he overheats and he's like, okay, it's too far. Seems like the older he gets.
I'm tapping out too.
Well, we took him on one walk once, and because we also have a Rottweiler female, and of course she runs the house for him, because that's how Rottweiler females are. I guess I'm telling the wrong person this. And one walk, he's just like, I'm done, and he just stopped, and I had to go home and pick up the truck, come back and get him. And he's like, but he's got little legs, So
yeah. My uncle, he has bulldogs, and same thing. They'll get out like a quarter of a mile even, and then they're like, "We're done. Bring the golf cart around." He's in Arizona and Havasu, and it's real hot out there too. So you got to walk like really early in the morning or really late at night, and still even then it's like 90 degrees.
Well, it's better in the morning than the evening, because the evening you still have the heat in the morning. So here for us, we go 40 degrees minimum change. Like we'll be 67 in the morning and then 105 in the afternoon. So huge difference. But for him, it was just weird. It's like he can go. So now he'll go about 1.5 miles, and he's good. He's like, we're in it. Yeah. And I'm like, that's good enough for you.
That's good. That's solid. Yeah.
But he tells me when, he'll go to the door, hit it with his head, that he needs to go to the bathroom. So, because they got those big ass heads. And and his problem is he can't open anything. Like our Rottweiler could put her paw in to open the door.
Okay.
He can't pick up his legs. He doesn't do that. That's not what they're so short or whatever. So he tries to use his head, and unfortunately he closes the door instead of opening it because he can't get his head in there. It's the funniest thing. But we have these phantom screens, these screens that come together, and they have a magnet, and they're not like the ones you see on Amazon. These are, and you have to push them apart. Our kids could never get them open. Never. He goes up to hit it with his head, open it right up, and every time he can get out now.
They are brilliant. That's funny.
Yeah, he's a smart little dog. So
yeah, and communication is the most important thing. As long as you guys have a way to communicate. I remember growing up, our dogs would just get yelled at. And now it's just like, you just gotta teach them to ring potty bells, or to like bark at the door, or to like run their head into it. Either one of those, just get my attention that you gotta go and hold it.
Yeah, and the problem is if I don't make him go out at night, because our other Rottweiler, she's a female. She's like, okay, it's bedtime, and she goes out automatically, and he's laying there snoring, and all he does is sleep. And I'm like, all right, time to go, dude, time to go out with it. And he's like, so slow walking. He's like he's just like a little kid that just you don't have kids yet, so you don't know this, or do you have kids?
I don't know. All
right, so you get my son, my youngest son, he was a stubborn whatever, and you tell them to do something, they walk real slow when they don't want to do it. And that's exactly what he does. If he doesn't want to come in, he's walking real slow.
Yeah. And then they see a squirrel and they're gone, and you're like, what the hell? I thought you were tired, man.
Well, the only issue with him is and his name's George. When I found him, I named him George because he was a funny little guy, kind of like on Seinfeld. And his biggest thing is he'll not listen. When he's outside, if he's out front or whatever, you call him, he'll ignore you.
Goes off and does his own thing.
Yeah, well, like we all do, but he just like, so I'm trying to get something to get his attention, let's go.
So yeah. Does he like anything?
If I whistle occasionally, it works.
Okay.
Like my other dog, I've been around animals my whole life, so like I'll go like you do a horse, and then Annabelle will just come running because she, that's just her thing. She's heard it from me forever. It's just easier to make them whistling sometimes. And
Yeah, no,
then
for sure.
with him, it doesn't matter. It's like, dude, let's go. And okay. I talk to them
Uh,
like they're my kids. All right. Not like,
yeah.
they're a dog like you're supposed to.
No, I think talking to them like kids, I think it's all kind of related and it depends on what you want to teach them at the end of the day. So dogs are prey animals. They like to chase things. Does he chase anything? Or is he just doesn't
Well,
move at
toys
all?
if I throw them, but
Okay.
then the female Rottweiler wants to take it from him and she'll growl at him
Okay.
and he'll like back away. I'm like, dude,
Got it.
stand your ground. And that's the thing. He's such a nice dog. He doesn't stand. He's American, 100% American Bully. I had him tested just to know
Yeah.
what he was, just so we knew. And he was, from what I hear, you're the expert. They're just nice dogs.
Yeah, it's better than the opposite. It's like when you say stand your ground, like backing up is better than starting a fight because I've
Right.
had that one and that's like, okay, like I want you to back up. Like not everything's so important.
Right.
And
No,
the other one just
the
needs someone
female
to,
controls everything. A female Rottweiler is the alpha male in the dog world at home.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what it sounds like.
Like
Yeah,
he'll
so I would
run.
have to,
Go
what?
ahead. Uh,
No, I would say for training though, if you want them to get better at coming when called, you'd have to separate them. So you could have some like intentional training time, and then training coming when called is really fun because dogs do like to chase a lot of things. And if you set it up in the right way, it becomes a fun game. Or even hide and seek. I'll have a dog like sit and stay, and then I'll go around the corner and hide. And then they gotta like, I'll hide in a closet or someplace under the bed, someplace weird, and then they'll have to find and search me. But sometimes you got to change your recall word because it's already been poisoned because they like hear that sound or come or whatever you're using, and they're like, "Oh, that means I come when after the fifth or sixth time, maybe eight or nine if I feel like it." And we want like this new word means like you come now.
Gotcha. So what you're telling me is I need to come up with a new thing, so it means now.
Yeah, but you could use a different click or whistle or something. They're pretty smart. They can differentiate between a lot of things.
Gotcha.
So like I like like I like that one to call them when
Mhm.
called. Um,
So how's it
but
running
yeah,
your business? I know you're a
yeah,
dog and you want to talk about training dogs, but I also want to talk about what is because you've only been running your business for a couple years,
yeah,
correct? And I don't mean
yeah.
that like only a couple, but how big do you want to get with your business? Do you want to franchise it out? Do you just want to have enough to you survive? What's your overall plan for your business?
Yeah, I would like to grow something, a large family. I would like to maybe see about franchising things. I was on another podcast talking about it, and they were going over franchising pros and cons and different ways of doing it. So it got me thinking of like, okay, maybe there's something else. But my latest thing is I've partnered with an organization called Operation Do No Harm, and they work with veterans, single moms.
I'm
Um,
hold on. I'm
yeah,
smiling because we're doing a fire walk here in Modesto, April 12th and 13th at
you're
Dave
doing
Al.
the Firewalk in
Yeah.
Modesto? That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's us. That's me. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna bring that up because Modesto is a small town, and I was like, he's gotta like,
Yeah. No, it was and we're doing it in the county because the city shut us down because
yeah,
they didn't want to have the permit and all. Just one dude who's a pain in the ass. And so every time I have a chance, I talk bad about him out on the air because I'm on radio too. So, but I don't
yeah, it
want to do
was
too
terrible.
much until after the event, and then after the event, I'll really talk bad about him.
Yeah, get it done out the way.
Yeah.
April 14th or 12th
No,
and
12th
13th.
and 13th. Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's right around the corner. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
I'm good
month from
friends with
now.
Dave Albin.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm a fire walker and I help at Tony Robbins volunteer and then I help Dave with some social media stuff too. So that goes into my business because I had to learn how to do more social media and podcasting. Dave's helped me out with. Dave's fantastic at it. But anyways, with this operation, do no harm. There's some people that could benefit from having emotional support animals or
Mhm.
service dogs in some capacity. And I would like to work with rescues and rescue specific dogs that would fit the mold, right? There's a lot of really good dogs there. And have a training facility train these dogs and then rehome them with someone partnered from this program. So I'm looking to find land and build a training facility by the end of this year to continue expanding my business. Because right now I'm just running it out of my house. I have 10 clients and We work with them through a 3-month, 90-day program to teach them how to crate training, coming when called, walking on leash, roll over, getting their nails trimmed, and like husbandry stuff. We go over all sorts of stuff, going to public places, parks, there's group classes. We try to make sure that they're like a dog trainer by the end of it.
Gotcha. You ever heard about 22 Mohawk?
Yeah,
Because that's what they
that's what they
do.
do, right?
They get stray animals, they train them and give them to vets. And they're not
Yeah,
service dogs, they're just, emotional
yeah,
dogs to help, because once a veteran gets one of these, they never commit suicide. So,
exactly.
yeah. And so they're always looking for people to help them expand their stuff. So I was going to try to set something up here on the West Coast, but I just, with everything, I'm the president of my Rotary this year. I'm doing this
Uh-huh.
fire walk. I'm doing all this other stuff. So it's kind of hard to expand that. But I had them on my Helping the Brave podcast, which is for veterans once we take the uniform off. And then it was
Mhm.
a great idea. I was like, this needs to come nationwide. So, I mean, there's a good way to find out. I mean, you're good on your own, but it might be easier to help with they might need more animals. They don't have enough people to train their animals.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that I would help out with, and I'd be happy to. 22 Mohawk, this is the second time I've heard of this program. So I'm going to email them and see how I can be a part of it.
yeah. And then, and how I originally came across them is I had a shirt that was from the people who do all the shirts that everybody gets for military people. Yeah. And it was the 22 Mohawk. So, and that's how I found out about
Okay.
them. Yeah. And
Yeah,
then,
I was just,
yeah.
yeah, tell me.
No, I was gonna, and then I had him on my podcast, and I was like, it's a great way to doing it. This needs to expand, because that's a service dog is 25 to 40 grand, depending on what the service dog does. But not everybody needs, not every vet needs a service dog, or not everybody
No.
who's thinking about committing suicide. Because the suicide rate for veterans is 22 veterans a day plus one active duty member is committing suicide. And that's why I
Yeah.
came up with my challenge 22 to reach out to 22 people a week. For me, it's veterans. For other people, I don't care who it is. It could be a few veterans and other people, because civilians are still committing suicide at a high rate, and females a lot more. So,
Yeah, it's a very sad place. But if you have a dog, it gives you a lot of reason to take care of this dog, make sure this dog is healthy, walked and growing and learning. And yeah, you're right. You don't, not many of them need service dogs. You just need a good dog that
mhm.
brings you some comfort and some stability to your routine.
And one that won't rip up your stuff,
Yeah, that helps a lot too.
because then that's more stressful. Right. So,
Yeah.
but if you could train and I've known him, I'm not going to say his name because he'll get up and come over, but I know he was trained. Right? Because I
Yeah.
can tell he only went when we first got him that one weekend, right? Was he went to the bathroom one time in the house because he didn't know the area. Then we told him no outside. And then after that, never had a problem. Never. That told me he was used to, I mean, he was trained at one time how to do
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, it's funny. You can pick up on some of those things. Like we rescued a dog and people were wondering if she was on the street or not. And she just had some behaviors like anytime a door was open, she would just try to run out the front door. And that's typically more of like a street dog behavior than some dog who's like, I'd rather stay inside and I enjoy breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you know?
Yeah. Well, what's funny about George loves jumping in the pool.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. But I mean, he's so top heavy, right? Because it's
Mm.
big chest and everything.
Kaplash. I bet he
Right,
likes to get.
so you bounce the whatever he has into the pool, and I make sure I'm in there just in case, and he'll run
Mhm.
and he'll get it, but there's sometimes it's hard for him to get, and his eyes get so big, and it's like he gets it and then he gets out of there and he's so happy. But it's funny because everybody's like, American bullies don't go in the water. Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's the thing is like everyone is different and nature versus nurture plays a whole huge
Right.
role in it. So,
Because I wanted
you
him to
know,
know how to get out of it in case he fell in it.
yeah, and it sounds like he understands that.
Well, now it took him a while to spin him to know which way to go. Now he knows exactly how to get out of there. Yeah, at first he didn't really know, but it's like you spin him, and it's like then he sees the steps and he gets out because his whole side is steps because the way our pool is, and so it
Yeah,
survives. But it's it's about taking care of. It's like with a business having employees and customers. Same when now you have a dog that's even harder to talk to, right? Because
in
they
a
don't.
way.
Yeah, well they don't verbalize like we do.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like it'd be so much easier just to be able to say and understand. Like people are like, stop barking. And I was like, well, did you train stop barking to mean stop barking? Or like, are you just trying to like suppress them and intimidate them right now? And they're like, I was like, yeah, we got to actually teach them how to do something different. And that involves communication, right? And some of it's body language, some of it just Pavlovian conditioning. When you hear the sound of a knock, it means go to your crate instead of bark at the people at the front door, you know? So,
Well, how do you train that? Because I think that's one of the biggest issues. So our dogs, when we go to our cabin, it's like they go, "We're off duty. We're no, it doesn't matter what comes to the door, what happens, we don't bark." We come home and the mailman or they hear a no the biggest problem is the, Rottweiler female has, Addison's disease. She's got so many problems with her that she hears things that are not there sometimes, and she'll just bark, and then now
uh,
he'll go right after her because she is, and I
yeah,
heard you're not supposed to yell at them to what you just said about stop barking because now they think you're in competition with them and you're barking and they're barking. Is that
kind of,
correct?
yeah, because they don't understand the yelling. They're just like, oh, they're screaming too. This is great. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
So
try
just,
whistling, like, "Get over here," whistling, "Get over here," and the one
yeah, just
does, the other one
redirecting.
doesn't. So,
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the obstacles, the way in utilizing the challenge. So if barking at random sounds or imagined sound is a thing, I would start thinking about how can I make this trigger mean something else. And with an older dog, it does become a little bit more challenging because there's handicaps in some ways, but you can always work around things if you're resourceful enough. And what I would probably start doing if they like whipped cream or peanut butter, something very high value, I would start like knocking on like the walls or like clapping my hands or like banging things around. Like our guinea pigs understand, like when we knock, it means they're about to get food, so they're chirping in the background right now. And each time I did one of these things, I would go and give them whipped cream or like a lick of peanut butter on a spoon and start showing them a different meaning of what this thing does. Because right now they're just telling themselves a story of like, when this happens, I do this. And it's like, well, what if when this happens, this happens? And then they're like, oh, I hadn't thought of that yet. And you're like, possibility now, right? Um, and if you can link that to going to their bed, that's like the ultimate behavior. Uh, then that's like a little bit harder of a conversation to go over right now. But the idea is you could knock and then run to their bed and then reward them for being on their bed. And then they can associate like knocking or sounds means run to my bed. I'm going to get a treat. And then you just vary the reinforcement after you've trained the behavior. So like a casino, basically.
what happens if you knock and you go to the bed and you don't give them a treat after they got used to the treat?
Yeah, that's where the casino comes in. So like people still go to the casino even though they
Okay,
don't win because there's the opportunity to win the treat. So they're just playing the game at that point. But it
gotcha.
starts off rewarding them every single time for a week or two while you're training this behavior. Sometimes behaviors, like I'm training my puppy how to ride a skateboard right now. And I've been at it for 30 days now, and it's a lot of reinforcing. But once the behavior is done and like she understands like how to move on the skateboard, and there's certain parts I don't reward her anymore for. Like before, I just rewarded her for putting two paws on. Now I don't. Now she has to have three or four paws on to get a treat. So I keep stepping up the levels for reinforcement. And then as we continue to go, there's going to be less and less treats. Like I know that in the back of my head, but right now I just want her to really enjoy doing this thing. So there's a lot of happiness associated to it.
Gotcha. Well, let's start trying. What is it important to crate dogs?
It's important for them to enjoy a place and to understand boundaries. So
So as
I
long as they
use a
have a
crate.
bed, that could be the same thing. Because
Yeah.
yes, we've had. So I bought a crate when I first got him because he
Mhm.
was in the metal one and he just went, "There's nothing," and I'm out of here. So I bought one of those big one, expensive ones. Now my
Yeah.
daughter uses it for her dog. But then after a while, he would lay on his bed, go to bed. He has his places. That's his bed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the biggest thing is that they either have a crate or a bed that they feel comfortable on. And then as long as you can practice, I like using crates and beds to understand boundaries. So it's how I start getting a dog to like sit and stay, and then you can like walk away, or you could throw a toy and they could wait, or they could see distractions and wait. Because it just is very clear if they like break the boundary, I can just shut the door or like help them back in. But a
gotcha.
bed, you can do the exactly the same thing.
All right. So I was on earlier. I did a podcast with John Hewitt.
Okay.
That was his name, right? Yeah, John Hewitt of Hewitt Tax Services. Back in the day, you don't probably know him, but they sold his company, and then he started Liberty. And well, when he first
Oh,
did it,
okay.
John, is it Johnson Hewitt? I forget what the full name of his. Well, he finally, after a certain point, started franchising. Then he sold that company, started another tax service, and started franchising from day one. And his statement was what he would have done differently with his first company would be start franchising earlier.
Really?
Yeah, because his goal was to be the largest. So he worked 12 years for H&R Block. And during that period of time, he learned everything. He wanted to be number one. It was 6,995 offices or something in order to be number one in the tax business. That was his
Yeah.
goal. And he did that. And then he
Yeah.
sold the company, got 400 million. And then he's like, okay, he had a 3-year no compete. So he went to Canada and opened up the Liberty one in Canada and ran that one and started franchising it right away. Then came to back here, grew it, sold it, made another 400 something million. I forget how much it is. And then now he has multiple brands. He has another tax company, A Tax or whatever, that's better than the other ones. But what I'm getting at is his big thing is if you're going to franchise something, think about it from the beginning. Don't wait.
Okay.
That was my just little right to the end, because I usually do for 30 minutes and we're in like 26. So I wanted to give that back to you saying, hey, there is some other things of why you'd want to do it and something you set up, as long as you have something that you could sell and people could take and move with it. The difference with what his company was, tax season's in April, right? So once a year, that's what they work for 4 weeks. That's all they do all day long. And then for the following year, they don't do much. They get ready for the next tax season. You and
Yeah.
I are in the people business. You're in the
Yeah.
dog business, but the people who bring you to the dogs, you don't have a set. They're going to come out all the time. He knew people were coming. So when they got into trouble a couple of times, he knew he could pay everybody off as long as they got to the next tax season. We don't have that same thing. We don't know how many people's coming. We can market, we can do this, but we really don't know how to scale what we're doing. And that's the real question, how to scale that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't know. I don't know how many people are walking at your event.
We're going to have, we're set up each night for 225 people.
225 people. Yeah, it's a fair amount of people. That would be a lot of dogs to train, even if it's like
Yeah, but
10
see,
to
that
20
event's
dogs.
not a business. That's just giving back and helping vets and first responders. So, and
Yeah.
we're only charging $45 for the event just to get them to show up, because it's, you get tri-tip dinner, you get everything plus I say the show, and then you get a walk. Well, if I gave it for free, people wouldn't show up. Nobody shows up for free. You have to charge something.
Yeah.
And it's 45 sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. You can't get anything these days. And the one thing we're not doing is alcohol at the event. We're doing everything
Yeah.
else because it's like alcohol, fire, don't mix.
Very
Right.
true.
Yeah.
Very
Plus, a
true.
lot of the people who are coming are, recovering alcoholics and other stuff. So,
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it also proves the point that you don't need alcohol to have a great time and to make
no.
connections, which
Right.
is a lot of people's beliefs too. So, yeah, no, Dave is really good at what he does. I'm very excited for this walk, and I'm
Are you
excited too
coming?
to continue. I want to. Yeah, I'm in talks with Dave to get out there and help take some videos and record some things.
Yeah. Cause are you connected to C3 insurance at all?
I'm not, but I know who that is.
Well, they're coming and they're bringing
Yeah.
a videographer and somebody else to do the video for the whole thing. I heard through Dave, and then I just got messaged through so it's operationfirewalk.com to find out everything about it.
Yeah.
Even though it's
Yeah.
Operation Do No Harm, but we don't have access to all his stuff. So I got that domain so we could go to our website, which is part of our Rotary, and control it instead of trying to do Operation No Harm, which is his thing, and have to, change everything.
Yes. What is it, the website again?
Operationfirewalk.com.
Operationfirewalk.com. Brilliant. Yeah, I'm so excited for you guys. Yeah, I'm doing my best to get out there for that time. I have a couple clients scheduled, so I'm trying to get off the time. And my uncle passed away on April 14th, so there's a family reunion on that date. So I'm trying to navigate a few of those things to be out
Well,
there. But
right. So the 12th is a Friday, the 13th is a Saturday. So the 12th, we're really trying to get more local people because they could come, it's like after work, come over right away. where people from out of the area, in order to do Friday night, they have to get there early. They have to stay the night. Where on Saturday is more for people out of the area because they have all day to get there. You follow me?
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
don't mind which day you are, but if you're further away, just plan on doing it on the Saturday, and then once you're done, go. So,
Okay.
all
Yeah.
right.
That's all.
Anything else to add that I didn't ask you about? What's the number one failure for most pet owners?
Blaming, like thinking their dog is wrong instead of just like taking it. You can acknowledge it that it sucks if your dog's eating your carpet or pooping in the floor or whatever it may be, but there's no point in blaming others, things, or yourself. Just acknowledge it. Ask yourself, what do I want to do instead? How do I want my dog to communicate this to me? Like ringing potty bells is a great one, or looking at you, or like going to their crate when they're excited, right? All of these things, or their bed, and start thinking about what you want your dog to do.
And not doo-doo, but to-do.
Precisely.
All right. So don't blame yourself. Just figure out how to fix it. Basically, what's the best way for people to find you, Brady?
Yeah, you can go to my Instagram at N as in Nancy, D as in Drew, dog training. So ND dog training. Teaching my puppy how to skateboard right. I got the challenge going on. I just got her another skateboard too that we're going to take her outside. And then I'm sharing these podcast tips and tricks, and I am have my Inner Circle online community to join too if you're not in the Austin area. So you can DM me Inner Circle.
All right. Sounds great. Brady, thanks you so much for being here today. Really appreciate you coming on the Inner Edison podcast.
Fantastic. Thank you.